guys, welcome back to another Plasticon review. Today we are going to cover playsets. When I'm talking playsets, I'm talking probably one of the coolest playsets that had never come out, and it is one I have made, and that is for the Ark. Now, I have always been into making different kind of playsets in the past, and I've always wanted to get inexpensive playsets. Some people out there want like huge gigantic dioramas. Some people want everything to be made of plastic. I've always one of those ones that have been more into it's a background. That's pretty much what it's for. And I don't want anything that's going to kind of take away from what it actually is. And I wanted something to actually tell a story when you're looking at it as you're setting it up for either photography, playing, or anything. And the other thing I really miss is the fact that years ago you were able to buy playsets that were inexpensive. When we were kids, we got sometimes a cardboard back that we can cut out. Sometimes we just made our own out of just whatever materials we can find, and there were playsets you can purchase that were inexpensive. Well, for Transformers, we only really got a few, and it's very, very, very few. I will end up getting into those later on in a different video, but as of right now, we're going to take a look at what I call the Autobot Ark. Now, Eagle Eye viewers out there probably noticed that some of the artwork, and will notice some of the artwork on this is took from other scans of other things, and I will get more into that here in a minute. But I made this an extremely simple setup. I pretty much took to let you guys know what I made this thing of. I made this out of a cereal box and some construction paper and printed off a few bits to make it look cool. And not to mention, I actually drew in a lot of the panel lines, so that way it could actually have a bit of a cartoony feel, but also feel more on par with what I like as an aesthetic for a place set. A place set should be inexpensive, easy to store, and just something that enhances your collection and isn't your collection, if that makes any sense. And that's just kind of how I feel about this type of stuff. To let you know, this huge piece here that I've cut out, this is actually a piece of corrugated cardboard that you can find these, and I found this. My other half bought these a long time ago, but they're for doing cake decorating. You can buy these inexpensive circular pieces that are already, they have a hole through the middle too, so if you actually want to make like a tier set, you could. But yeah, they're an inexpensive circular cut piece of cardboard. That way you can just have a base to set your stuff on. Now, the cool thing about this toy is the fact that I took just normal cereal boxes that you guys throw out every day when you're done eating your cereal, and I turned it into a backdrop. And what's cool about this is I cut it so that way it just slots together. There's a specific way I slot this together so that way it actually sets up the base the correct way, but it allows me to just slot them together just like so. And then I will set this in the orientation that I want the base of the whole set to set at. And then there you go. You might have to do a little bit of adjusting, but you know, it's just how this works. This is exactly what this is. It is a place set. And it's tall. It's not a tiny little thing. If you notice, this is the control room for the Ark. I do have I printed out pictures of some stuff, some artwork and such that you can find online. I'm not going to give you guys links to that because you literally can just find it anywhere on the internet. But I decided to print these off. And it makes a very, very convincing control room, especially since you got Teletran 1 here, which is tiny. And it doesn't need to be a big one. That's the thing, is you don't need a Teletran that's so big that it dwarfs everything else that's in your collection. The whole point of this is to be a backdrop, so that way whatever's going on with your action figures works. So I'm going to take Laser Prime here and stand him here. And let's see, let's take Bumblebee and put Bumblebee in here as well. You guys notice it makes a very nice little convincing scene. And if you wanted to put larger figures in here, I've got my G2 Broadside here. He's a little too tall for the door itself, but I mean, he's supposed to be bigger than the rest of them, honestly. And it works very, very well with that size. This is your G1 scale compared to your G2 Spy Changers. I am more into the smaller scale anyway. That's why Broadside kind of just fits in with the scale I like. If you guys want to see what an Action Master looks like here, I do have an Action Master as well. So that way you can kind of see what that would look like if you happen to have any of those. Also, you guys out there that like your tiny Pretenders, the scaling is excellent. I love it. This is amazing. But this is, like I said, this is just the control room. This is only one section of this entire playset. And I just find it amazing. So let's move these guys out of the way real quick. And let's spin this piece here around. And I've also took a couple pieces, and these were actually from the doors here I cut out. And I made a bed for the medical bay, because you know you need that. And I made it so that way, I scored it so that way these can actually be folded up if I wanted to fold this away and put it all away somewhere, so that way it's all safe. And then you just kind of set the bed there, and then you can put Prime here, which I did put a bit of a stopper there to keep him from just sliding off. And then you can have Bumblebee over here. And then we'll just have Grimlock over here, just kind of checking out diagnostics and such. And see, you've created an entire scene just with cardboard and your imagination. It does not take thousands of dollars out there to make huge play sets. This is a very, very cheap and simple thing to do, and I've literally created an entire medical bay. Yes, this is for smaller scale. You can scale these things up if you need to, but if you're more into the smaller stuff like I am, I like my scenes to not be so large that it takes away from everything that's going on. Sometimes having less in a scene is better than having so much going on that you can't comprehend it all. So, that being said, we're going to rotate the entire area here. And I consider this the pretty much either you can call it the science lab, or you can also call it the interrogation room for, you know, your Decepticons. If you notice, I've got a few other pieces of artwork here on this side. And this kind of just really shows what we have going on with just variety. And put Hot Rod here in the, you know. And the cool thing is, if you notice, Hot Rod actually can fit in the doorway, which I cut the doorway big enough to do that, so that way you can actually fit these in here. I used a Core Class Prime to kind of gauge the height and the width of some of these doors, so that way you can actually fit your figure through the door if you wanted to. And this is, like I said, this is an inexpensive thing. Highly encourage this for anybody that is collecting any kind of action figures or anything. If you're really into like Microman, or if you're into anything like that, this is the most excellent way to create an environment to put your figures in, to take photos, do stop motion, anything you all want to do out there. This is what this is about. I'm going to also turn this over to this side. And if you notice, this is the detention center. This is the, what I like to call the jail cell. I'm going to put Megatron in here. And this door does open. I did make it so that way the flap does open and close. So that way you have a little bit of playability there. Now I could have cut out these parts here and made it so that way you can actually see through the jail cell, but you know what? I didn't think that was actually necessary. That's why I went with like the little energy beams, because I think the energy beams fit this aesthetic better anyway. And the fact is, it's really cool to have 4 different scenes in a small area, so you don't have to worry about breaking out that huge, you know, metroplex or whatever you need in order to create a scene. And put Ultra Magnus here, back in the command center. You know, so Ultra Magnus is a bit tall for this, but to be honest, he actually scales pretty well with it. And I do like the fact that I didn't make Teletran this huge thing sticking out from the wall, because Teletran was always a backdrop. Yeah, he is a character in himself, and I might later on tackle making a bigger Teletran, maybe something that might stick out a little bit here, but I don't want it to, you know, invade with the doorway, because you need the doorway to be able to go from one room to the other. And I made it so that way everything kind of has its purpose, and having its purpose really helps, especially whenever it comes to creating play sets. Now I am in the current, like, I'm currently making another playset for the Decepticons, and you guys will end up seeing it in the future as well. But this is my little Autobot Ark I decided to make, and yeah, it could have been bigger, but if you guys notice, it fits very well, especially if you collect smaller Transformers. And even if you have your combiners will work with this just fine too. Because I know a lot of guys like your G1 combiners and such, and this would actually work pretty well with that. I am more of the G2 kind of guy, so I gravitate toward more of the louder colors. And some people will be like, well, why did you pick this color of yellow versus just this orange? Well, I didn't want it to be completely washed out in orange. If you wash out the entire thing in orange, it makes it a very boring looking set. That's why I wanted a little bit of variety with the colors that I chose for this, and I think it works very well with what I have chosen. When I did print these parts out, I actually went to my local Staples and actually had them print these out, so that way I wouldn't use all my ink here at home. I did decide to print out the Decepticon stuff here at home, so the print quality might not be as good as it could possibly get, but that's all boils down to the artwork you get. It boils down to however you set up the imaging and such, and you know, it really is your own imagination. And I wanted to just kind of share this with you guys, because this is an amazing piece that I've been putting a lot of time into trying to do, and I've been really wanting to put more into building playsets and showing you guys the potential of what you can do out there without spending thousands of dollars creating an environment for your action figures. I might get into doing maybe a few for G.I. Joe here in the future, but I'm not really sure yet on that. I've been really on the fence with that one. But, you know, this is just a quick little look at the custom Autobot Ark that I've created, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. You guys like, share, subscribe, and also, if you guys want to, check out my Patreon, and also I have YouTube membership. I'm doing shout outs for those, so feel free to chime in on that and help out the channel, and we'll keep rolling out all the content I possibly can. This has been Plasticon. This is me signing off. Peace out, y'all. See you around. That's it for now. Bye.